I never wanted to raise my son alone, but life rarely follows the plan you imagined. I was 23 years old when his father left. One argument, one slammed door, and suddenly I became a single mother with a newborn child and no idea how to do anything right. But from the moment I held him, I promised myself one thing. I will give him every ounce of love I have, even if I have nothing else. I didn't know then that the same love would become the reason my heart nearly broke. When my son Caleb was little, he was my entire world. He used to run into my arms every time I walked into a room. "Mommy, you're my hero," he'd shout, jumping on me like I was his personal trampoline. We were inseparable. I worked nights so I could spend the days with him. I skipped meals just to make sure he never noticed how tight money was. I stayed awake during fevers, nightmares, school projects, everything. We'd build blanket forts on Friday nights and eat cereal for dinner because I was too tired to cook. He didn't care. He'd giggle and say, "This is the best dinner ever." I worked double shifts, nights at the diner, mornings cleaning offices just so I could spend afternoons with him. I skipped meals so he could have new shoes for school. I stayed awake through fevers, nightmares, school projects, scraped knees, and broken toys. I gave him everything I had. And for a long time, I thought that love would be enough. But love doesn't always protect you from people who want to rewrite your story. When Caleb turned 12, his father suddenly reappeared. He showed up at our door one Saturday afternoon with a brand new car parked outside, designer sunglasses, and a smile that looked rehearsed. "Hey, buddy," he said, kneeling down in front of Caleb. "I know I've been gone a while, but I'm here now, and I'm never leaving again." Caleb's eyes lit up. He'd spent years asking me about his dad. "Where is he? Does he think about me? Why doesn't he come see me?" And I'd spent years protecting him from the truth, that his father left because responsibility felt too heavy, that he chose himself over us. But now, standing in our doorway, his father looked like the hero of the story, and I looked like the villain who kept them apart. At first, the visits were harmless. Weekends, ice cream trips, a baseball game here and there. I told myself it was good for Caleb, that every boy deserves a father, but slowly, quietly, I began to notice a shift. Caleb stopped running into my arms when I came home. He stopped telling me about his day. He'd sit at the dinner table in silence, pushing food around his plate, his mind somewhere else. And then one night, he said it. "Dad told me you're the reason he left." I froze. "What?" "He said you pushed him away, that you didn't want him around, that you never even told him about my soccer games or my school stuff." My chest tightened. "Caleb, that's not..." "Why would he lie, Mom?" His voice was sharp, accusing. I stared at my son, my baby, and realized he didn't believe me anymore. Someone had rewritten our story, and my son was reading the wrong version. By the time Caleb turned 15, he barely spoke to me. He asked his father for everything, new shoes, phones, video games, and when I gently reminded him we couldn't afford some of those things, he'd snap. "Maybe if you worked harder. Dad says you want to hold me back. You ruin everything." Every word was a knife. I'd lock myself in the bathroom at night and cry as quietly as I could, pressing a towel against my mouth so he wouldn't hear. I didn't want him to feel guilty, but I also couldn't ignore the truth. I was losing my son, inch by inch, day by day. His father filled his head with lies. He told Caleb I kept him away on purpose, that I badmouthed him, that I wanted Caleb to hate him. None of it was true, but lies are easier to believe when they come from someone you want to trust. And the worst part, I couldn't fight back. Because every time I tried to defend myself, Caleb saw it as me attacking his father, so I stayed silent. I swallowed the pain. I loved him from a distance, and I prayed that one day he'd see the truth. The week before his 18th birthday, I asked him, "Do you want me to make you a cake? Maybe invite a few friends over?" He didn't even look up from his phone. "No, Dad's already planning everything." I forced a smile. "Oh, okay, that's great." He walked out of the room. I stood there in the kitchen, staring at the calendar on the wall where I'd circled his birthday in red marker, and I felt my heart crack just a little bit more. The night of his birthday, I stayed home. I didn't hear from him. No text. No call. I sat in my room and listened to the faint sound of music and laughter drifting in from somewhere down the street. I imagined him there, smiling, surrounded by people, blowing out candles, without me. At 11:47 that night, 13 minutes before his birthday ended, I looked at the clock and whispered, "Happy birthday, baby. I hope you're happy. I hope you're loved." I didn't expect anything after that. I thought the day would just end. But then, at 12:03 in the morning, there was a knock at the door. I opened it slowly, and there he was, Caleb. His eyes were red and swollen, his face was pale, his hands were shaking, he was holding a small wooden box. "Mom," he whispered, "can I come in?" I stepped aside without a word. He walked to the kitchen table, set the box down, and stared at it like it was something dangerous. "I found this," he said quietly, "at Dad's house." I looked at the box. My heart stopped because I recognized it. He opened it slowly. Inside were letters, dozens of them. Birthday cards I'd written every single year. Notes I'd tucked into his lunchbox when he was little. Letters I'd sent to his father begging him to let me be part of Caleb's life. A long letter I'd written when Caleb was 13 trying to explain the truth about why his father left. All of them unopened, never given to him. His father had kept every single one, hidden them, destroyed the evidence of my love. Caleb's hands were trembling as he picked up one of the letters. "I didn't know," he whispered. "Mom, I didn't know." His voice cracked. "He told me you didn't care. He said you never wrote, that you never called, that you didn't even try." He covered his face with his hands. "I hated you for no reason." I reached out and touched his shoulder, the same way I used to when he was 5 years old and had a bad dream. "It's okay," I whispered. "You were just a kid. You trusted your father." "But you suffered," he choked out. "You went through all of this alone." I didn't deny it, because it was true. Caleb told me everything that night. His father had thrown my letters in that box because he didn't want Caleb to get attached to the wrong parent. He'd convinced Caleb that I was bitter, controlling, manipulative, that I pushed him away, that I didn't want Caleb to love him. "He said you ruined his life," Caleb whispered. "But Mom, I read the letters. You never stopped trying. You never stopped loving me." Tears slid down his face. He lied to me about everything. I pulled him into a hug, the first real hug we'd shared in almost 3 years, and we both cried, not because of the past, but because we finally saw the truth. The next morning, Caleb asked if he could stay for a few days. "Of course," I said softly. He helped me make breakfast. He sat beside me on the couch. He actually laughed, at an old joke I used to make when he was little. It felt like having my son back, piece by piece, but healing takes time. Some days he woke up angry at himself. Some days he missed the version of his father he thought was real. Some days he apologized 10 times, and each time I told him the same thing: "You're my son. There's nothing to forgive." Eventually, his father found out Caleb was staying with me. He showed up at the door, furious. "You're poisoning him," he shouted. "You're trying to steal him from me." Caleb stepped outside, calm, steady. "No, Dad, you did that to yourself." His father froze. "You lied," Caleb said. "You hid her letters. You made me hate her for things she never did. You chose yourself, over and over. And I'm done pretending you're the hero of this story." His father had no words. Caleb turned and walked back inside. He closed the door gently, not with anger, but with peace. And that moment, that quiet, powerful moment, was the first time my son truly chose me. Months have passed now. Caleb is in college. He's working part-time. We have dinner together almost every night. And one evening, he handed me a letter, his handwriting, his words. "Thank you for never giving up on me, even when I gave up on you." I cried, he cried, and I realized something. The years we lost hurt, but the years ahead are ours to rebuild. I didn't get my little boy back. I got something better. I got a son who chose me freely. Sometimes the people you love most are the ones who get turned away from you, not because you failed them, but because someone else rewrote the story. But the truth always finds its way home.